Welcome, everybody. How many of you are guests tonight? Okay, half the room. For how many of you is this your first time at a Greater Dayton OREIA meeting? Almost nobody. Okay, a couple of folks. That's all right. We will get you signed up for this organization before the end of the evening. Don't worry yourself about that, because when you hear, must be standing under the speaker. When you hear what is going on in the market and what is likely to be going on in the next few years, and who's in charge of the sound? It's a little hot. And oh yeah, let's get mics on. And sort of things you need to do to take advantage of the opportunities that are in the market right now and what they will be in the future. When robots will teach the passage. Yeah, I'm standing on the speaker stuff. I'm standing in between them. There's a speaker there and a speaker there. You will understand that a big part of success in this business is not what you know so much as who you know. And I don't mean that in like, oh, you got to know the president of the bank, and you got to know the mayor. I mean, you got to know people who can answer your questions for you. And the best people to answer your questions for you with their local level questions. When the question is, hey, I got this potential deal out in Trotwood, do you think this would make a good retail deal, is going to be somebody in the local market, right? There are big OREIA members who agrees with me that you need people in the local market. Yes. So, yeah, you're going to want to join the organization tonight. There's actually a special for doing that, which I will talk about in a little while, but that is not my main purpose for being here tonight. Is this not my clicker? Because it's not clicking. Is there a second clicker here that I'm not seeing? My main purpose here tonight is sort of to let you know what's happening in the market and to talk about what that means. I mean, the research is great, the market cycles, yay, fascinating. Go home and tell your husband or wife about it tonight, and they won't care. Because all they will care about is how do you implement some strategies to take advantage of where we are in the market cycle, right? We're going to talk about resources that you're going to need to put in place. If you don't already have them, some of you will already have some of these resources in place. And we're going to talk about how to get the knowledge in your life and the people in your life that you need to take advantage of what's going on here without spending $40,000 on some, out of town. I just realized I'm driving the camera person insane on time. Sorry, this is what I do. These $40,000 guys from California who come in and want to sell you a whole giant package of courses, half of which you probably don't even need because they're not anything you want to do, and also they don't understand your local market. So when you go to try and implement them, guess what? You're right back here at GD right? Getting the advice to implement them. So this is my favorite slide because this is where I get to talk about myself for like a minute and a half here. Again, my name is Vena Jones-Cox. I have been a full-time real estate entrepreneur since 1989. I had a job for 6 weeks when I left college, and it didn't work out for either me or corporate America. And I left that position. Discovery where I cannot go. I left that position and went to work full-time as a real estate investor. I bought my first rental property in 1989, and I still own that property. Since that time, I've done somewhere north of 1,000 deals. Not exactly sure how many at this point. I kind of lost count honestly, after like 200, but I sort of, number of deals I do per year times the number of years equals over 1,000. I've done 4 of those deals in the last 10 days. And from the perspective of who really cares about what's working in the market, full-time real estate investor who makes their money in the market cares about that more than anybody else. So when I show you the research I've done, and I talk about the things that I'm doing and that I think you should be looking into doing, it's all experience-based. It's not just, hey, academically, this might be something you might want to try. I'm the past president of the Rural Real Estate Investors Association of Greater Cincinnati, the Ohio Real Estate Investors Association, and the National Real Estate Investors Association. If I ever have to apply for a job, it's going to look super impressive on a resume. All of us know that those are all volunteer jobs that you get by missing the board meeting where they elect the president. That was pretty much how all that happened. I'm a licensed real estate broker here in the state of Ohio, and I think another important thing to realize about this span of time that I've been in the real estate business is that I have seen what's happening now happen before. I came out the other side of the biggest real estate crash of this generation, but I also remember the cycle in 2001 and the cycle in 1989. So none of this stuff is new, none of this stuff is really should have been unexpected, because it has been known since the 1800s that this country goes through 18-year boom and bust cycles, and it's spooky accurate. The only time we missed a cycle was due to World War II. You know, we had the crash in 29, and then we should have had another one 18 years later, but we had all the men in the country in Europe, and the women were working, and everything was on wartime production. And the cycle didn't get to reset itself until the 1960s, when everything got back to normal. So there's four parts to this real estate cycle that happen over and over and over again. And every time it happens, we get surprised. Every time it happens, we're like, oh my gosh, who ever expected real estate prices to ever go down? Real estate prices don't go down, except once every 18 years, like clockwork. The first part of the cycle happens after the crash, and it's called the recovery. And during the recovery, what you see, these are kind of the signs of what's going on in the recovery, is there isn't a lot of new construction of properties going on. The prices of properties are below the average rent to value number. So in other words, if you were to say, on average in my market, if you take the amount of rent you can get per year and divide it by the value of that property, what's that number? And there's going to be an average number that you see. During the recovery, that proportion is all off because the prices are lower than they should be for the rents you can get. If you follow what I'm saying, you can buy deals cheaper and get proportionally higher rents during that time. There is higher than normal vacancies, but they are starting to be absorbed during the recovery. So landlords will say, oh man, it's so hard to get a good tenant, but they start to say during the recovery, okay, well, it's, things are starting to pick up now. I'm not having vacancies that are as long. You start seeing the boards come off of vacant properties because it starts to be worth it for people to fix those up. And during the recovery, banks have really tight restrictions on real estate borrowing. They tightened down really hard during the recovery because they were way too loose during the thing leading up to the recovery. And this happens every single solitary time. So, what am I describing? What time period am I describing right here? No new construction, prices below the average rent, higher than normal vacancies, banks tight with the money for real estate lending. Yeah, what I'm describing here is the time period between 2009 and 2012. Right? If you were in the market, you saw this. And if you were in the market and you were actually buying properties, you now look like a genius. Because all your friends were saying, oh, you shouldn't be buying houses, you can't get them rented, you can't get them sold. Only you could buy them at prices where if you did rent them, you were making incredible money, and now, 2 years later, 4 years later, the properties are worth a whole